Peter Greenberg's live global travel update is presented to you by Allianz Partners.
Well, hi there, everybody. Peter Greenberg here. Happy Thursday, wherever you happen to be. Where I happen to be is very, very hot. It's about 92 degrees. Never gets this hot where I happen to be, but that's what's going on around the world. Actually, I'm coming to you. I'm up on the 7th floor rooftop restaurant of the Fairmont in Monte Carlo. And over here working on one of my PBS shows and joining you today to answer all your questions and to give you our global travel. And there's so much to report. In the meantime, if you want to ask me any questions, you know the drill. You just excuse that camera shake while I stabilize the computer. There we go. You know the drill. Ask those questions and we'll get to them. But first, let's talk about what's going on. The airline business is still a hot mess. I mean that literally. It's gotten so bad. How bad is it? It's gotten so bad that one airline is actually boarding baggage loaders as passengers on planes so that when they get to their destination, the baggage loaders actually get off the plane and unload the bags or connect the bags, because otherwise it's not happening. It's gotten so bad that Lufthansa canceled 1,000 flights today and yesterday from Frankfurt and Munich. They're having a strike. Even the places that are not having strikes are overwhelmed. In Amsterdam, KLM, now listen to this, has announced it's not accepting any bags that have to come through Amsterdam. Well, that destroys their entire hub and spoke idea. So if you're flying on KLM through Amsterdam to get somewhere else, you're either traveling with no bags or you're soon going to have no bags. And that's getting ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. We've had a situation where even in terms of my case, you know, most of you know that I believe there are only two kinds of airline bags, right? Carry-on and lost. And I go to great lengths to FedEx my bags when I'm traveling within the United States. I've been doing it for over 10 years. But I don't do it overseas because it's outrageously expensive. You get stuck with very zealous customs folks where your bag can get hung up there and just not worth it. Well, when I flew to Nice last night on United Airlines, Flight 272, they lost the bag. It's still in Newark. Hopefully it will cross the ocean and get to here before I leave here tomorrow to the next destination. So it's happening all over. You grin and bear it, but at the same time, they've not been able to fix this problem since the Wright brothers. Interestingly enough, Alaska just announced, this may be some good news, Alaska Airlines just announced they've come up with an electronic bag tag that's permanent on your bag. And you activate it using their app every time you fly. Supposedly very, very efficient. And let's see if it works. They're just introducing it in the next couple of months. We'll stay on top of that. The U.S. Department of Transportation has just come out with their latest numbers. They're not good. Passenger complaints against airlines are up 200% over the same period of time last year. And guess what the number one complaint was? We talk about it all the time. Refunds. What's the number two complaint? Cancellations and delays. No surprise there. But number three was baggage. But the area that soared the most in the most number of new complaints was something I thought we dealt with already. Tarmac delays. Passengers being trapped on tarmacs and runways for more than 3 hours. The number of tarmac delay complaints, or I should say incidents, doubled from last month. That means you've got prisoners on planes literally for hours, and they got nowhere to go. This has got to stop. And you know, when we asked Transportation Secretary Buttigieg what he's doing about it, his response was, we're using all of our enforcement tools. And what he cited was, in a refund case, the largest penalty ever proposed by the Department of Transportation, it was about $25 million against Air Canada. And he's right. That was the largest fine ever proposed. Well, Air Canada ended up negotiating that down to $4.5 million, but they didn't pay that either. They paid only $2 million when they could show evidence that they were writing refund checks. So tell me if this enforcement action had any kind of consequences. To this airline, it's essentially the cost of doing business. We need an enforcement action that will have consequences. Remember the tarmac delay rule, which was started about 5 or 6 years ago? Let me remind you what it said. In the event that the plane pushes back from the gate and you're trapped on that plane and not brought back to the gate within 3 hours, the airline is liable to a fine of up to $27,500 per person. So on a little 737, you're already in seven figures. How many airlines that violated that rule were fined at least, $7 million? Zero. Guys, the reason why we have rules is that if you don't obey them, there are consequences. All right? My argument right now, I've said it now, I think for 3 weeks running. Any runway in the world, whether it's Nice or New Delhi, can only accommodate 23 takeoffs in any 1 hour, right? It's about 2.5 a minute. You can't exceed that. It's not safe. Planes need to get to the runway. They need to spool up the engines. They have to wait for the wake vortex of the plane ahead of them and the air traffic control clearance to take off. So on average, they can handle about one takeoff every 2.5 minutes in the best of conditions. So why are the airlines, that works out to 23. So why are the airlines allowed to schedule 38 departures for 8 o'clock in the morning? Delusional. There should be consequences for that. Conversely, on-time performance is now a joke. It's not a goal, it's a joke. If you hired me for whatever job you wanted me to work on, and I showed up late every day, 3 hours a day, how long would I have that job? I would be thrown out. The airlines do it hundreds of times a day, and we go, oh, okay. There need to be financial consequences to have truth in scheduling and, at the same time, truth in operations. Operational reliability is key. That's not a goal. It must be a rule. And you do that by properly and not ridiculously scheduling your airline with a schedule you cannot support even before the pandemic and staff shortages. It's really nothing new. People talk about the golden age of air travel. Be sure to let me know when that happens. But they're romantically delusional about thinking, oh, I remember when flying was so much fun. Let me know when you discover that. Now, do I love to fly? I do. Do I look forward to it? I do. But I look forward to do it now in a different way, for the simple, pragmatic opportunity of getting me from A to B, not for the experience itself. So, something for us to all think about. Now, something for us to all think about again is an anniversary that happened 4 days ago, or 3 days ago actually, July 25th, 2000, a story that I covered not far from here in Paris, the crash of the Concorde, the Air France Concorde on July 25th, 2000. If you get a chance, look at the piece we did for Dateline that I basically hosted, the investigation of what really happened, why that plane really crashed, and I'll give you the tease, it's not what you think. Some of you may remember the original thought was, as it rolled down the runway, it hit a piece of metal that had fallen off from an engine cowling of a Continental Airlines DC-10, and that punctured one of the tires, and that started a chain reaction, very quick events, where the tires basically exploded into one of the fuel tanks. The fuel tank then exploded, and the vapor from the fuel was sucked into one of the engines, which created the fire. That terrible photo that we still see of the Concorde trying to gain altitude, trailing a 150-foot trail of flame. Now, did the Concorde hit that piece of metal? It did. Is that the reason why the plane crashed? Watch the show. Very interesting stuff, and we'll go from there. Now, airlines are not alone with statistics these days. J.D. Power is now out with their hotel guest satisfaction survey, and for the first time, I think in history, guest satisfaction, which basically covers hospitality, cleanliness, service, rates, dropped double digits. That's never happened before. So what are the number one complaints? Well, let's start with rates. They're up 34% year over year at a time in which the hotels are providing less service. Then there's cleanliness, whatever happened to housekeeping. Then there's service, whatever happened to the restaurants. And of course, how do you justify rates when you're only delivering half the service? So again, not good numbers for the airlines, not good numbers for hotels. Let's talk about some other good news. Well, this one cracks me up. Remember all the reports we were doing over the last year about unruly disruptive or violent passengers? Well, a lot of them, right? People who had to be restrained on planes, maybe sometimes taken down, thrown off planes, arrested, fined, even jailed. Well, what a surprise. In almost all cases, alcohol was involved. Gee, who would ever think? So now, alcohol is back on many airlines. They're serving it. And American Airlines flight attendants are now arguing, I love this, for a 2-drink limit for passengers in coach. What about the drunks in first class? What about the people plastered in business? I love this class distinction that they think the only bad people on a plane are in the back. I want someone to explain to me why they wanted only as a 2-drink limit for passengers in the back of the bus. This I need an explanation. But, we got to talk about it. Now, moving right along, it's about 92 now degrees here in Monaco. But as many of you know, I'm a volunteer fireman in New York. I've been one since I'm 18. And I'm making a point on our radio show, which you can hear every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time. Check your local listings. Wherever I'm going, I'm making a point to try to get over to the one group of people in every town. They know everything about that city. They know where to go. They know where not to go because they've been everywhere. It's an obvious choice that people forget. It's firefighters. They've been in everybody's hotel. They've been in everybody's restaurant. They've been in almost everybody's house. They know where to go. They know where not to go. Earlier today, I went over and visited the fire department of Monaco. Check this out. That's a real helmet. That's not for show. That's their hook and ladder. Goes up about 7 stories. These guys are very, very busy at a very small principality because they do everything. They do EMT. They do water rescue. They do fire. And in many cases, they're on 24 hours a day because in this town, and especially in the summer, people have fun. People get in trouble. Anyway, a big shout out to the Monaco firefighters. Thanks for having me along and giving me the tour. And of course, I'll reciprocate when those guys come back to New York and I'll put them on our trucks. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's get to some of your questions. I'm going to go back to the tour. All right, Dale say. Soon. We're going to do another show there. Okay. Another Tanzania call. The History Channel, this is Colleen, has been featuring update shows of the week on passenger flight MH370, missing since 2014. I'm thinking depressurization and hypoxia are a likely cause. Do I have favorite theories? I do. We devoted one of our radio shows, 3 hours, to the discussion of the only 2 possible believable theories, not provable yet, of what happened to MH370. And the first thing that you suggested is one of those possibilities. You got to go back when you do the real intensive investigation in airline accident, and that is to go back to before the plane was built. You may remember this, a 777 delivered to Malaysia Airlines, built by Boeing. So we went back to the Boeing production line to see what was the plane like that was built before them, 777? What was the plane like that was built after that plane, another 777? Were there any similarities in, mechanical problems, electronic problems, aerodynamic problems? And the answer is yes. Yes. So that's one theory, but we can't prove it, right? The other theory is even crazier. I'm not even going to suggest it now, because to do so would be irresponsible, but equally believable, because in any accident investigation, you have to painstakingly rule everything out before you can rule any one thing in. So, was it weather? No. Was it fuel? No. Was it engine malfunction? No. Was it turbulence? No. Was it a mid-air collision? No. You keep going and going and going and going. And then you rule all that out, and certain things stay. And when the one things that are staying are the most troubling of all. Now, in most accident investigations, you have an abundance of evidence, or at least enough evidence to work with, so you can now connect the dots. With the exception maybe of Amelia Earhart and maybe one other crash that doesn't come immediately to mind, And this one, those are the unsolved mysteries. Now, are we ever going to get to the end of it? We may not. We may not. Too many people, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so don't go down that road, but there are too many people in an accident investigation who have too much to lose if it's on them, right? When an accident happens, the NTSB forms what's known as the National Transportation Safety Board, forms what's known as a GO team. And it's their job in individual areas of specialization to investigate all those things I just said, right? You have metallurgical engineers, you've got fuel analysts, you've got engine performance folks, you've got brake specialists, you have human factor specialists, psychology of travel, you have aeromedical specialists. The pilots suffer a fatal seizure that they couldn't recover from. All those things get investigated. And in this case of MH370, we're coming up 0. Now, you may remember that on Reunion Island, they picked up a wing flapper, a piece of metal, and that was maybe interesting, but not a key to the actual investigation. They knew it came from the plane, but that's about all they know. One thing I can tell you, you may remember Sully Sullenberger's plane on the Hudson. What saved so many of them was the speed at which that plane landed and how much fuel was in the wings. It was loaded with fuel. So that kept the plane afloat, right? Fuel lighter than water. MH370, no. That plane flew however condition it was in, whether the pilots were conscious or not, which of course is your theory. They flew until the plane, at altitude, until the plane literally ran out of fuel. And when that happened, it started a slow glide, and then a slow dive, and then a fast dive, and then a faster dive. So fast, in fact, that it took the plane beyond its aerodynamic limits. And before that plane ever hit the Indian Ocean, it was ripping itself apart in the air. It was literally unraveling. So we may never know. But if I find out anything, Colleen, you'll be the first to know. Okay, let's keep going here. Usually in Japan. Christina's saying hello from Wisconsin. Yes, hot in Wisconsin. We know that. Okay. Yep. Evelyn says, carry on only. No kidding. All right. Nicholas is saying, Peter, let's see. What does it say here? How travel has returned. In January, you could hear a pin drop at JFK. Fast forward. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, it's back. It's back. And for those people who want to know how long it's going to be like this, I keep telling you, September 15th, that's when airfares will probably drop off a cliff. That's when airline schedules will have no choice but to stabilize. And at that point, you might see lower fares and even the availability of some frequent flyer award seats. But before September 15th, ain't going to happen. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about, it happened this morning. Not a surprise, but the JetBlue Spirit merger, Frontier's out of the game. Even though the management of Spirit wanted to merge with Frontier and vice versa, the shareholders of Spirit basically took the richer deal offered by JetBlue. And on first glance, I mean, this deal doesn't seem to make any sense. It's the most unlikely marriage, right? Two very different airlines, very different cultures, right? JetBlue gives you more room and legroom. It gives you free Wi-Fi. It gives all that. Spirit, there is no legroom. And if you want a glass of water, you pay for it. And last time I looked, breathing could be optional. So what's going to happen here? And why was this such an attractive deal for JetBlue? Because it actually had nothing to do with Spirit anyway. JetBlue needs planes. They want to scale. They want to compete with American, United, and Delta on overseas routes as well. And the only way to do that is to get planes fast. If I were to order a new Airbus 320 today, I might get it in 3 years. But by merging with Spirit or taking them over, they get all those planes now. Planes that are very similar to the ones JetBlue flies, right? Airbus 320s in most cases, or sometimes Airbus 321s or 319s. That makes sense. What doesn't make sense, at least in my estimation, is will Spirit exist as Spirit if this deal closes? Will Spirit exist as Spirit if this deal closes? And my guess is it won't. They'll just merge to take them out. It's like American and TWA, remember that? Or Alaska and Virgin America, right? Two I mean, 3 different brands that we all recognize, many of us actually like, they're going to go away. JetBlue just wants the planes. Now, I said if the deal closes, because there's one big hurdle left. It's called the U.S. Department of Justice. It's got to pass antitrust scrutiny. And something tells me it won't. Right now, the U.S. Department of Justice is already opposing a very, very small alliance that JetBlue forged earlier last year with American Airlines. That's still being reviewed. So nothing's going to happen overnight. And should the U.S. Department of Justice approve it, it's going to come with a lot of caveats and a lot of strings attached in terms of slots, routes, timing. So stay tuned. It ain't over until it's over. And this may go through next year, waiting for that approval. All right, let's keep going. Okay. Hello from Kenya. Do I think the JetBlue Spirit merger will be approved by the government? I just answered that. By the way, what does this mean for Frontier? What does it mean for Frontier? They're a standalone now. They become, the JetBlue Spirit merger, if it happens, will make that airline the 5th largest carrier in America. But what about Frontier with the cute little animals on the tail? It becomes the largest ultra low cost carrier in the US, which actually might be good for passengers because they'll expand their routes and hopefully keep the fares low. We'll see. Okay. Okay, Donna bought some Apple AirTags. Okay, $29 each if I remember. All right, we're going down here. Hello from Mombasa in Kenya, from Sierra Madre. Okay, let's keep going. Gail says, I'm flying to New Orleans over the holidays. Which holidays? I'm guessing Labor Day now. I'm hoping the airline mess will be better. We're flying actually on Christmas and New Year's Day on Southwest. What do you think? Well, you know what? The busiest travel day of the year is not Christmas and New Year's. It's Thanksgiving, right? The Wednesday before Thanksgiving and the Sunday coming back. I think you'll be okay by then. I'm from Joliet, Illinois. Thank you for your thoughts about my bags. They will come back. By the way, if you ever lose your bag and the airline wants you to fill out a form, they don't want to give you a number you can actually talk to a human being. That's the first sign of bad idea. Number 2, you want to get their name and phone number before you ever leave the baggage claim office. And then number 2, the reason why you want to do that is that when that bag is found, I'd like to say if, but to be fair, most bags are found. When that bag is found, you want to exact a promise from them, no matter who's on duty, that they're not going to put it out for delivery in an old Ford Econoline van with a guy driving named Vern who shows up at your doorstep at 3 in the morning when he started the deliveries at 8 in the morning. You need some priority there and to have them share your sense of urgency. So remember, have a conversation. Everybody says, oh, you lose the bag, fill out an app. The hell with the app. Conversation. Okay? Okay. Because if you don't do that, you'll get your bag about the time you understand the app. All right, let's keep going here. All right. Hello from Denver. Here we go. Hi from Santa Monica. I'm looking forward to a river raft trip next week in the Salmon River, Idaho. Hopefully a little colder or cooler than it is where I am right now. Hi from Bellingham, Washington. Hi, Sue. Ira saying my bag got lost coming home from Israel. I flew British Airways and connected through Heathrow. Well, that's one bad idea followed by a worse idea. My Heathrow American flight was canceled, and they sent me back on British Airways to Dulles, and then booked me on United to Chicago. Who would be the one responsible in this case? It's easy. The originating carrier, British Air. They made it, oh, it's not us? They're responsible. Okay? All right, Jumbo to you guys. Okay. I'm looking here. Ashland, Virginia. Hello, Paul. Gerald saying, from Kilimanjaro. Okay. Right back at you. All right, howdy from Dallas. Donna saying, if you still fly to Germany, the airlines will tell you that you must wear a mask. The issue is the flight attendants do not enforce it once they take off. Same as in the US. There's no requirement to wear a mask, but it's, everybody has their own ideas. And as the pilots are now reminding us, please accept the choice of your seatmate. We don't want any more fights on the plane. Uh, okay. Patrick saying not delusional, criminal. You know, Patrick, we're talking about scheduling. Let's say I am holding this pen, okay? And I'm holding it with two fingers. And unbeknownst to me and without any provocation, oh my God, I lose the pen and everybody on the pen dies. You got me? So now the National Pen Transportation Safety Board comes up and goes, we don't know what happened either. We're going to investigate. So they do. They do all sorts of tests on the pen or what's left of it. And they absolutely come up with not only just a probable cause, solution. Now, they're not a regulatory agency. The NTSB can only make recommendations to the FAA, a policy-making regulatory agency. And let's say they say to the FAA or the Pen FAA, the reason why this happened is two fingers aren't enough. You need that third finger on the pen. So now you knew what the problem was. You knew why it crashed. And you know what the solution is. Oh, and by the way, the third finger is available. You can implement it on all pen holders. And the pen regulatory agency doesn't then make a rule immediately retroactive that you cannot hold a pen with less than three fingers. And they don't make that rule, and then another pen drops. That is criminal negligence. You knew there was a problem. You knew there was a solution. You made a conscious decision not to implement that solution. You should go to jail. Now, I'm not talking about airplane crashes here, but I am talking about airplane policies and practices. If you know you cannot support a schedule, even before the pandemic, why are you publishing the schedule? Why? How can you justify that? You're lying to the public. This is not like an accident. Oh, we had no idea. No, you published the schedule. We relied on that, and you'll let us down. And we haven't even discussed damages. I'm not talking about loss of life. I'm talking about loss of being able to go to your daughter's birthday party or a family reunion or an important business meeting or connecting to that cruise you've always wanted to go and you've now just missed the boat. We need rules with consequences. You know, I go back to the 38 planes leaving at 8 o'clock in the morning when the runway can only handle 23. What do you think would happen if the FAA said to the airlines, okay, guys, American, you want to leave New York, you can leave New York at 8:08 in the morning. Delta, you can leave at 8:15. United, you can leave at 8:29. And American will let you leave at 9:06. And you just keep rotating it, right? You give them absolute slots. And if you're not at the runway by that time, you go to the back of the line. How fast do you think airlines would be pushing back from the gate and flying on time? Overnight it would happen because you wouldn't just go to the back of the line, there would be financial consequences, right? Look, if I'm a doctor and the surgery is scheduled for 9 o'clock in the morning and I show up every day at noon, patient dies, I get sued, right? Is this any different in terms of concept? It's not. We need the DOT to do this because no one airline wants to be the leader here because they don't want to lose their market share. They don't want to lose their so-called, sometimes mythical, market advantage, right? This is the time for somebody to be either the leader and everybody will follow. But if nobody's being the leader, then the government has to step in here and add some practical and consequential rules. All right, let's keep going. Okay. Patty says, coach is business class today. Really? I think business class is coach today. We should discuss. All right. Priya's watching from Irvine. Okay. Paul says, flying was fun back in 1960 when there were roomy seats, good service, and decent food. Of course, most of these were on prop planes. Anybody old enough to remember the Electra? You know what was in the back of the plane? An oval lounge. Just this wraparound lounge in coach. Oh, by the way, people also dressed up for the flights. Okay. Before I forget, it's time for the trivia question of the week. Now, you know I'm in Monaco. So, you know what happens in May every year? The Grand Prix. Everybody shows up, not just in their cars, not just, they just fly in. They show up on their yachts. So, how big was the largest yacht that showed up here a couple of months ago for the Grand Prix. And for sale, how long was this yacht? And what was the listing price? Let me know what you think. Might surprise you. All right, moving along. Here we go. Good morning from Los Angeles. That's Elizabeth. Evelyn is, I cried so much that day. Oh yeah, we're talking about Air France and the Concorde. I want you to see the show we did. You may cry again, but for different reasons. Talk about negligence. I'll just give you that tease. Okay. Colleen says, how do we access the Dateline show on the Concorde? You should reach out to Hulu or to Peacock. I'm sure they've got it. Okay, here we go. All the drunk first and business class passengers who think they're getting a free pass. All right. Raymond, aloha to you, and Birgit and Lee. And I'm sure it's hot back in Bayshore as well. In fact, the last time I helicoptered into Monaco, I was with Raymond. The world's shortest helicopter ride from Nice to Monaco. 7 minutes. But what of you? Okay. Greetings from Huntington Beach. Hello, Adrian. And more Tanzania folks saying hi. Love it. All right. Hello from Tampa. All right. I am from Tanzania. He's in Dar es Salaam. Hello, Victor. All right. Okay. Raquel says, I'm planning a vacation to Portugal in August of next year. When should I start looking for flights and booking them? The answer is not now. You can do a little comparison shopping, but you're not going to buy anything now. August is a sort of iffy month because a lot of people go on vacation who live in Portugal. So the infrastructure may not be there, but as a general rule, you want to start looking about maybe St. Patrick's Day and March and see what it looks like. And then look again about 44 to 54 days out. That's when you make your decision. Okay. Stephen says, I'm leaving for Berlin Saturday on Turkish Airlines with a connection in Istanbul. We'll look for your program, The Travel Detective, on the huge wall with the monitors. If you like, you and your wife can bring me some of her award-winning cooking. Who says? Who says? Although if you're going to, I don't know how long your layover is, but find some sutlach at the airport. You probably won't find kunafe, but you'll find more baklava than you could possibly imagine. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm now reminded. Simmet, right? Get the simmet. And my favorite simmet now is not just the plain with the sesame seeds. It's the one they bake with the cheese. Ooh, okay. All right. Catalina says, is it true that the Miami airport is in worse shape than most other airports? No, it's not. They actually got a little better. However, you'll be walking a lot. They do have the SkyTrain, but I don't find it that practical. But it's not worse than other airports. Remember, the people who build and design airports, I'm convinced, have never flown. It's all about making you a captive audience for retail. And I asked this question, I'll ask it again. How many people here get up in the morning except going to an airport? You're not. If anything, you're hopeful of getting through the airport because you want to go somewhere else. So the only reason why you see all that retail at the airport is, number one, delays and cancellations and retail, right? Do I want to go to the airport for fine dining? No. Do I want to go to the airport to entertain my friends? No. Do I want to go to the airport to sleep? No. Do I want to go to the airport for great upscale retail shopping? Absolutely not. I just want to get through it. The problem is the business model at most airports won't work that way because they want you to stop at retail so they generate revenue. So take a look at the new terminals at LaGuardia, right? On the outside, they look great, bright, shiny, gleaming. Now go in there. The person who designed the carpet there, a sadist, also a masochist if he or she is traveling too. Try dragging your rollerboard across that carpet. It's the Baton Death March. And then they have people movers. You know how long the people movers are? About 30 feet. That's it. Why? They don't want you to pass up retail, right? Because the retail guys are paying rent. So we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go. Okay, hello from Fort Lauderdale. Okay, here we go. Janine, on vacation in Key West in late August. Any recommendations for restaurants or things to do? You know what? Get a bicycle. Get a bicycle. Key West is an eminently bikeable city, and then just play it by ear. You'll be fine. Greetings from Denver. All right. Mary says, my son is flying to France to teach English. He is debating. No, I wanted to fly to France and teach English to the airlines, as in be on time. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Don't lose my bags. Not je ne sais quoi. Okay. Hello from Boynton Beach. All right. Do I recommend a website that lists all direct flights from a city? Well, it's not a website for me, although they do have a website. It's the books published by OAG, Official Airline Guides. I carry them with me wherever I go. They're about this thick, paperback. It's every published flight in the world. Not what you're seeing on your computer screen. That's basically edited. That's not the whole deal. You need to see the entire inventory. And that the reason I carry it with me, because when I get to the airport and my flight is no later canceled, I just whip open the book, and faster than anybody can operate an app, I know what my options are. Okay? Now, there are 3 volumes every month that comes out. Africa, Middle East, and Europe, Asia Pacific, and the Americas. It's about a $700 a year subscription, but before you flinch, know that every time I fly, I'm saving at least half that much, if not more, because I'm finding flights that are not listed on the computer that are basically secret flights, but can legally operate between 2 different city pairs. So check it out. Now, they'll offer you an online version. Get the printed version. Okay. Keep going here. Okay. Nobody's guessing the answer of the ship. Okay. Adrian says it was 5,000 feet long. There is no ship 5,000 feet long. That's called an island. No, not 5,000 feet long. Yes, again. Anybody else? Nobody's guessing. Wow. Okay. I'm looking. I'm still not seeing it. Wow. Gail's saying $500 million for the ship. No. Okay. Colleen Casey, you're wrong too. I'm looking again. Wow. Not seeing a lot. Wait a second. I think somebody just got it. Jeff Keith got it. It's 300 feet long. That is aircraft carrier time. And the name of the ship, not an oligarch, I don't think. Tatoosh, and the asking price, $96.7 million. Wow. If you have to ask how many the crew is, you obviously cannot afford this ship. So join the club. Anyway, that's who showed up. There you go. Now let's go to the photo of the week. Shall we do that? Let's go to the photo. There it is. This photo is taken by our good friend, Norm Eston. Norm normally lives in Hawaii, but he shot this in where? Lake Tahoe. Beautiful shot, sunset. The boats don't even look like they're floating. They look like they're beached. But you know what? It's magic hour photo time, either early morning or late afternoon. And you couldn't get more quiet than this. Norm, thank you so much for taking the shot. If you got a photo that qualifies for the photo of the week, you know exactly what to do. Send it to us, peter@petergreenberg.com. And if we agree with you, guess what? It goes up on the screen. All right, let's go to some questions that you guys sent in during the week. Okay. What are your thoughts on shipping luggage to avoid the chaos in traveling to Europe? If you have an unlimited bank account, then you know what? Then do it. But other than that, no. It's not a good idea, and it won't work. Look, it'll cost you almost as much as an airline ticket, plus your bag gets hung up in customs. Why would you do that, right? All right, let's keep going. Okay. Geraldine, is there a written rule or right on getting cash instead of a voucher on flights? Yes. If you are involuntarily bumped, remember when they're asking for volunteers to give up their seats, then they have to give you money. They're not going to volunteer it, they're going to offer you a voucher. But if you ask for it, they have to give you money, at the very least, 200% of what you paid for your ticket. Okay? And then it goes up. If the flight itself gets canceled and you didn't cancel it, that's the U.S. Department of Transportation rule that says you're due an immediate refund to your original form of payment, even if you'd bought a so-called non-refundable ticket. Now, what happened during the pandemic, we all know this story. The airlines didn't volunteer that. They tried to steer you to a voucher or a future credit. And in so many cases, what you essentially did was give them an interest-free loan, and the ticket was like the death sentence of a bad gift card. It never got used. So ask for the cash. All right. Okay. Here's one. All righty. Yeah. Hi, Peter. This is from Amy. Have a long flight soon and wondering if there's a travel book you'd recommend to help kill the time. Well, sure. Every book I've written. How's that for us? Just set me up for the self-serving answer. Actually, there is a book you should read, and it's called The Whale. It's not a travel book, but it involves a lot of travel. It's about how one guy ingeniously defrauded the entire Malaysian sovereign wealth fund and did it all over the world. There's a lot of travel involved. It's called The $1 Billion Whale. Check it out. All right. Here's one. Steven says, what are my thoughts on timeshares? Well, the timeshare business is getting a little better, but you better be really smart about why you're getting one. Now, many timeshares now allow you to trade them and trade locations every time you want to use your timeshare. That's better than it used to be. But the real problem is when you get to the point of saying, the kids don't want it and I don't want it, I want to sell it, then you're going to find out how little it's worth. Most of these cases, they're like deeded in perpetuity. So be smart about why you're getting it, how often you're going to use it, and where you're going to use it if you're allowed to trade with other timeshare owners for different destinations. All right, keep going. Hi, Peter. I'm looking at going to London in September. Will Heathrow chaos cool down by then? Hopefully, but it's still a mess. And you may have seen, I did this story for CBS many years ago, and everybody thought I was kidding. I'm not kidding then. It's getting worse now. The lines are so long at some airports that people are requesting wheelchair assistance. And the rule is, if you request wheelchair assistance, they don't ask for proof of your disability. They get you a wheelchair. And once you're in that wheelchair, the scam is that you're going to be moved to the front of the line to check in. You'll be moved to the front of the line to go through security, and you'll board first. We used to call these miracle flights because anybody who asks for wheelchair assistance on their outbound flight, there's a wheelchair waiting for you on the jetway when you land. Well, guess what happens? I've landed, and the worst offending airport, by the way, is Palm Beach in Florida. When I get to the airport, you see a line of about 25 guys and women with wheelchairs waiting for their passengers. The reason why we call it a miracle flight is because when the people get off the plane, it's amazing. They can stand, they can run. It's lords of the air. Oh my God. There's got to be a better way to do it. But the real irony here is that the chief of Heathrow Airport is trying to blame the wheelchair scam folks for all the problems with delays at Heathrow. That's like saying to the people who dressed up as women to get on a lifeboat at the Titanic that they're responsible for the boat hitting the iceberg. Stop it. Get real. Two separate issues here. Bad airline management and somebody finding a loophole with wheelchairs. Let's fix the loophole. Oh yeah, let's fix the management too. All right, let's keep going. Okay, Matt says about Elizabeth Warren demanding a crackdown on airlines. Do you think this will actually happen? Legislatively, I don't. We've never seen it happen. It goes back to rulemaking at the DOT, but rules with teeth, rules with consequences. If you don't do it that way, guess what? It doesn't happen. Sounds good on paper, then you're dealing with proposed fines. And it's a game that everybody plays because they know they're never going to have to pay that amount. It's crazy. All right, a couple of reminders. Travel Detective Season 7 still on the air. Check it out if you don't find it on your local station. An easy plan B, Amazon Prime or Apple TV Plus. World Tour of Tanzania still playing great. If you haven't seen it, I hope you will. We're working on Travel Detective Season 8 here in Monaco and other places. So I hope you get a chance to watch when that comes out. And last but not least, stay cool, stay sane. We'll see you. And the radio show, of course, this Saturday. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. It'll be from a distant location that none of you will ever guess, but a cool place to be when the going gets tough. Trust me. So I'll see you on the radio Saturday, and I'll see you next week for Facebook Live from another destination around the world that I'm not going to tell you right now. Have a great weekend, everybody, and travel safely.